This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. Today is Friday, June 28th, 2024. We are live and local. This is Binghamton Now, 92.1 FM and 1290 AM. WNBF. Welcome to our program. Let's open up the phone lines. Maybe people have some things to say. If you have something that you feel is worth talking about, call me, 607-772-1290. That's our number. We're only here till noon, so take advantage of every available minute. Do you have thoughts about the debates? Joe Biden and Donald Trump faced each other more than an hour and a half. Seen around the world, heard around the world. And potentially billions and billions of people were able to see what happened. Now I'd like to hear your opinions. Let's begin. Let's go right to the phones. Morning, WNBF. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Harry from Kirkwood.
Morning.
It was like looking at a dead man who didn't know he was dead. Literally. I mean, it's over, my man. It's over. Unless they get rid of Joe Biden.
But they probably will. What then?
Yeah.
I would think they will. So who should they pick if they want to have any chance at all?
I'd have to say Hillary would be the best option for them, actually. And she'll go down in flames again, too. So that's not a problem.
But you would think that Hillary Rodham Clinton, would be the Democrats' best hope?
Well, she absolutely wants another shot at that because Donald Trump beat her so badly. So I think that's the only thing. I mean, Kamala, forget about Kamala. She's a joke. So there's just no way. But I mean, I quite honestly went into it expecting, well, okay, they're going to have Joe Biden, medicated well, and he'll be able to think at least partially clearly. There'll be a reasonable debate. It was none of it. None of it at all. He looked like, as everybody's been saying, confused, didn't know what he was doing, where he was. He barely knows who he is. I mean, it's pathetic. It was just pathetic.
More urgently, is he fit to be president right now? Right now, he's the most powerful person on the planet.
Yeah, and he's definitely not fit to be in that office right now. He should be out of there. So
what steps ought to be taken, in your view, not only to protect President Biden, but also to protect this nation and ultimately protect the people in the world? Well, the only thing I could think of is the Democrats around him had better do a dang good job of convincing him that he has to step down. Because if they can't do that, they can't force him down. That's what I've been hearing. They can't force him out. And that's sad. That's very sad. All right. Well, I appreciate your thoughts. We're going to try to get a good cross-section of people who had a chance to watch. Hope you have a good weekend. You too. It's 10:15 at WNBF, and we'll take as many calls as seems appropriate. Good morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Neil.
Yeah, and where are you calling from?
Oh, Newark Valley. I'm sorry.
So what's on your mind?
First off, that last caller, Trump didn't beat Hillary badly. Hillary had the most votes. Trump got it on the numerical votes, whatever you want to call them. The popular vote, Hillary won. Second off, I'd rather have somebody that stumbles a little bit on what they're trying to say than a guy that has to lie about everything he says. And second off, when they have the next debate, instead of having the mediator saying, how about this question, and then having Trump go off on this and that and whatever, not even tackling the question, have him mute his mic until he's ready to answer the question. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling in. Let's see if we can get as many calls as possible. I think this is very important. So even for people who never call talk shows, I think you ought to call today and at least give your opinion. Get on the record. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name?
Oh, it's Matt Ryan.
Oh, Matt from Binghamton. All right. Good morning. So what did you think?
It was a pretty dismal performance by the president. That's clear. Everybody would be delusional if you didn't admit that. However, you know, if you know what being president is all about, it's not about being able to debate. And first of all, I would like to say that imagine debating somebody that every word out of their mouth, almost every word is a lie. I mean, imagine that, and you have to fact check them. And I think he just got so frustrated with. You can look at the look on his face is like, how do I counter somebody's lies every time they speak? And so that's what he's up against. Yes, he's old. You know, is there going to be some? Maybe he won't be the candidate. I'd be the first time I've said that. But when you look at what it takes to be president, and every indication from Kevin McCarthy and everything, and people were honest, and then they changed their tune, is that Joe Biden knows exactly what needs to be done. He knows how to put, like some people are pointing out, like you never have the situation that a debate presents for a president in the job they're doing. Everything is, let's think about this. Let's, at least if you're somebody like Joe Biden, not Trump, he just doesn't look damn well pleases without any. We saw how many people he went through in his administration. But let's take a step back here. Maybe it won't be Joe Biden. If it's not, then we have a different conversation. But Joe Biden has always come back from adversity. I don't think he's going to give up. All along I've said I wouldn't mind having another candidate, though. So
well, the question is, you just said that he's not one to give up. So is he likely to put his ego before what's best for the country? Because if he has something to prove, if he has something to prove, say in a September debate and then ultimately in the November 5th election, do you think he's inclined to, I'm going to stay in the race even though somebody else might have a better chance of defeating Donald Trump?
Well, I always suspected that one of the reasons they called for this debate was to see, they know they're a little bit behind, and for whatever reason, people, think Joe Biden's a little too old, and last night didn't do anything to defray that that sentiment. So I think we got to wait. What was interesting, though, if you listen to some of the focus groups afterwards who said what they thought of the debate, most of them said Donald Trump lied all night long. That was their first comment. So it's still going to be a choice between, and like I said, Joe Biden has had, on all accounts by historians, and what Joe Biden did point out is all these historians have looked at Donald Trump and said he's the worst president we ever had, right at the bottom. And Joe Biden knows how to get things done. In a divided Congress he's produced. First infrastructure bill in many, many years. It's rebuilding our country and putting many, many people to job. Donald Trump stood in Ohio and and said he was bringing in all these jobs. Never happened. Joe Biden stood at the same place with Microsoft, which is a proven entity. They're going to make it happen in Ohio. The CHIPS Act, all the things he's done to, and the fact that if you have any inkling about what this country could look like when you have a couple more Supreme Court justices or continue that trend for the next 40 years, if he has a chance to appoint, Donald Trump was elected and has a chance to appoint, Alito and Thomas will probably retire. We will have 40 more years of, like, people, like Clarence Thomas, he says we should only, make our decisions based on what happened in the 1700s. That's what matters. He wouldn't even be a Supreme Court justice if it was what was happening in the 1700s. He had no status as a black man. He would have had no status in this country whatsoever. And the only reason he went and became a Republican, if you watch the NPR special on him on Frontline, was because he knew that there was a whole, after Thurgood Marshall and all the civil rights thing, that he was going to be in a long line of people and probably never get selected. So he decided, he was a radical in college. He was friends with the Black Panthers, and he turned because he said, this only way I can go where I want to go, which is be a Supreme Court justice and be a big shot, is if I change my tune. The guy's a fake. He took $4 million.
Yeah, but it worked. I mean, let's face it. People take different paths to ultimately get to their destination. So who among us wouldn't want to be a Supreme Court justice? You would.
No, I wouldn't want to be a Supreme Court justice if that's what it took to change my whole belief system.
Well, no, you wouldn't, but you wouldn't change your belief system, but you want to be Supreme Court justice. Even now, if Biden called and said, I'm going to have to make an appointment, something happened, and between, say, now and January 20th, something happened, and I've got to make a Supreme Court justice. Nobody saw this coming. Matthew Ryan, would you allow me to nominate you? You'd say, yeah, I guess.
No, I wouldn't.
No, you would.
I'm not capable of being a Supreme Court justice, and that's the point. It's only
you don't think you're capable of sitting on the Supreme Court and making the weighty decisions?
Not at this age, no.
Oh,
I think
come on, man.
That's the one thing I do think. See, the other thing is, I ask people to consider this for the next election. We are one election away from having a whole new, refreshing group of, on both sides, of people who, that young people can look to and say, hey, that's more, I just think that this is one election to get rid of the worst morally bankrupt person that's ever been in the White House previously and could be again. This is our chance to get rid of this guy, get rid of the chaos, get rid of the rancor that's tearing this country apart and people hating each other. That's what I hate the most. And appointing people. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about.
All right. Well, don't worry. I mean, we're going to be talking about this on Monday, too. So don't think for a moment today's the only day and then I'm going to go on with other stuff.
Yeah. And Joe Biden, curiously, last night, right after, he was at a rally and they saw some clips from that. And I don't know what happened to him last night. That's definitely. I
don't know. I saw afterwards. I don't know what. Honestly, I'm not a doctor, so I have no idea what was going on.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he did much better after, and he's a fighter. Let's see what he decides to do.
All right. Well, stay tuned. I think it's going to get a lot more interesting over the next 4 weeks. So stay tuned to the station.
I will. Bye.
It's Matt from Binghamton at 10:25. We're going to take as many calls as I think is reasonable. You don't want to put too many calls on because people probably get tired of hearing so many voices. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? And, where are you calling from? Where are you calling from? Binghamton?
No, this is Vic from Lake Ontario.
Okay, Vic. All right. So we just heard from Matt from Binghamton. Vic, what do you think?
Well, I thought the debate was very poor. Not the way it was run. And you know what? I was surprised at how CNN ran it. I mean, they definitely leaned toward Joe, in my opinion. But the questions were fair. And to answer the first caller of the day, the reason Donald Trump didn't answer the immediate question was because of Biden's answer to the question previous. And Trump wanted to set the record straight. Excuse me. But I think there's going to be a huge run on tissues after that debate, and I think the price are going to double because there's going to be a lot of crying Democrats, and the only way they could save the Democratic Party right now is with Hillary or my opinion, AOC.
Well, then why don't they just get it over with and announce? Why don't they announce on 60 Minutes on Sunday with an exclusive, a Leslie Stahl live exclusive? AOC announces that she is going to be the nominee, and she's going to ask the party to give her the party's support at the upcoming convention in Chicago. They could do that at 7 o'clock live on CBS TV with Leslie Stahl.
Well, she's going to have a lot of support without that announcement because of all the illegals that have come into
Right, but they should announce it if they're going to be successful. They should get moving on it because the clock is ticking, Vic. I mean, it's almost November 5th. I mean, time is going to move fast right now. It's barely 4 months away. Before you know it, early voting will start, and any opportunity to try to salvage something, there's going to be no hope at all. Because they got, whoever it is, they have to print up bumper stickers and keychains and all that stuff and posters. So you got to get that stuff. And then the ads, of course, on AM radio. So they got to get moving.
Bob, you just made a great point. Early voting is going to start soon. I think they're going to take him off before the early voting because the people that vote early, they're going to want to get their votes for their new candidate.
Well, and that's another thing. In the past, Republicans had been reluctant to take advantage of early voting, but I think based on what happened in 2020, I think you're going to see something totally different this year. You're liable to see more Republicans take advantage of early voting than Democrats.
Well, I think the early voting people are the people that fill out the forms. They're going to be filling out double forms and multiple times for either Biden or their next choice.
All right. Well, I just don't want to see another one of them wacky movies about mules.
I'd like to say one more thing, Bob, before I hang up. Matt and Vinny were both stating how much Biden was capable of running this country and what a great job he was done just a few weeks ago. And today from Matt, we heard that, Joe is suffering. He's not the best candidate for the Democratic Party right now. So I'd like to know what changed in 2 weeks. It seems to me that all the conspiracy theorists that have been saying Biden's incapable and that he's a little bit loopy have been right all along.
Well, maybe somebody at the White House ought to come on the air, call in between now and noon and explain what's been going on, because it seems to me that the American people haven't been told the full truth.
They never are.
Well, maybe now is the time. You know what they said once? We can handle the truth. We can handle the truth. We're America. We're strong. We'll deal with the truth and we'll move forward. When life hands you lemonade, you make lemons. 607-772-1290. Bob Joseph live on a Friday morning. This is Binghamton Now on WNBF. Friday morning, the red-hot phone lines won't stop ringing. Jim in Binghamton, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Bob. This is Jim from Binghamton. It was pretty sad for the country last night watching that debate, but I want to talk about something a little bit different, something sad that is happening in our community right now in Binghamton, and that is they are closing the Salvation Army down on Griswold Street. Have you heard about that?
No.
Yep, so that store's been there I've been going there for at least 30 years, and when you talk about being able to fight a little bit of inflation and clothe your family and friends who might need clothes and shoes and winter coats at a good, reasonable price. All that are closing on July 15th. The store will be completely closed, and they're moving their store, everything over to Endicott, New York.
Why are they closing?
So what I was told was that they had someone come in from out of state and rearrange the store, raise all the prices, and after they raised the prices, a lot of people stopped going, and this was just in the past few weeks, or a couple months, actually, I'm sorry. And once they raised the prices, people stopped going, the sales are down, so they decided to close the store in Binghamton. And I'm not sure if you know this, but they just went through and put hundreds of thousands of dollars into LED lighting for the store, heating and air conditioning to make it a comfortable environment for the employees and for the customers. So it's this kind of a sad situation.
Well, as you said, it's been a fixture there. It's been there since almost forever.
That is right. That is right. So I wish I knew more, but that's what I was told directly by one of the employees who's been there for quite some time. And, I'm hoping they would reconsider, because a lot of people do use that to offset some of these high inflation prices and the prices of clothing. And it's also, if you think about it, it's good for the environment. Instead of people throwing out their clothes, they get donated, and I think it's been a great fixture for this community, and I think it's pretty sad.
Do they have a sign up that says it's closing?
Huge signs, massive flags that say store closing.
And when did those signs go up?
They went up, I believe, 2 days ago.
So the store evidently will close. Does it say where they'll move to in Endicott?
It does not say, but I directly spoke with one of the women who's been working there for quite some time, and they told me that it will be moving to Endicott. And Endicott is 1/4 of the size. They have no place for you to bring in, a very, very small place for you to bring your donations. They will continue accepting donations on Griswold, but they are closing the entire store.
And will the Salvation Army still have anything else there besides accepting donations? Will they still provide other services for people?
See, I didn't ask that. I kind of, I thought that might be overstepping and asking somebody that question at that point.
All right. Well, I appreciate the information. That's
sure.
That's an important development.
It certainly is. So maybe some other callers or somebody from the Salvation Army might call in and let us know what's going on down there.
Appreciate your call. Thank you.
All right, no problem. You have a great day.
1037 at WNBF. Sandy from Port Dickinson, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. I just have a couple of things, and I'll get right off. First of all, I watched the entire debate. It was pathetic on Biden's part. Maybe this will open up the eyes to the Democrats, what they've known all along and just covered for him, and what most of us knew all along, most of our voters. My point is, for the debate part, people ought to have looked at him, and now you know who it is that is in charge of our military, in charge of our nuclear arsenal, and this is what we get. This is the person in charge of war. And people better be aware of that when they go to the polls and vote. And please go to the polls in person and vote. And then I have one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's with our Democratic governor, Kathy, regarding the congestive tax in New York City that she tried to impose because she needs the money for the state, because she spends just like a regular Democrat, like there's water. And the thing of it was, that didn't really come out to light about that tax and why she backed off was because of the trucking industry. the truckers stopped her. And because they said, you can impose the $30 tax on us for going into the city every day to deliver our goods, but we aren't going to do it. So we'll take our trucks, we'll go over to Jersey, we'll drop off our freight, and you can come and get it there if you want it in New York City. And she backed off. So the trucking industry stopped this. And the people who were going to pay $15 every time they wanted to go into the city during the congestive traffic were applauding them. But it was the trucking industry that stopped it. She has no, she couldn't go over their heads because they would have stopped anything going into the city, whether it was food or clothes or petrol, anything. And they have the power to do it.
All right. Well, I appreciate your call. Thank you. Steve from Binghamton, you're on the air. Oh, Steve gave up. Bob from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hi there, Bob. Yeah, I don't know if you picked up on this the other day, but the rules of the debate were mics were going to be off for the other person. Did you notice, like, almost 3/4 of the way through, they actually put Trump's mic on to interact with Biden? And they were both speaking at the same time. Yeah,
I noticed that something seemed to change at some point. I know why they went with the rule of turning off the mics, from time to time. Yeah, but the more I thought about it, especially since I don't know for sure, as I mentioned earlier this week, CNN should have wired that studio so there was at least a second set of microphones just in case one of the candidates or one of the moderators said something that didn't get picked up on the regular mics that were being used to put this out for TV and radio, just in case somebody said something and we really needed to hear it, that they would have had it documented. I think going forward, if there is another debate, which at this point I don't think Biden's ever going to be debating anyone again, but if there is in September, I say keep the mics on and let the candidates behave however the heck they want. That's all part of it. If one candidate interrupts the other, or if they both are talking over each other, well, we're adults. We've seen that before. I mean, I'm just wondering if they did it intentionally or by accident, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, though. Definitely something changed. A couple other quick things I'd like to mention. If they are going to swap him out, they better move fast, because don't they have to get their candidate's name on the Ohio ballot by a certain date with this virtual what do you call it? I really don't know what the schedule is. I don't know. Right. So the clock is ticking. That's why. Exactly. I don't know all the rules in every state and territory, but they better start looking at the rules. And I'll tell you what, they better figure out something today. They can't wait. Right. They can't wait till this weekend. Whoever ultimately thinks they're going to help direct the Democratic Party for this year, they'd better figure out what their game plan is and get it figured out today. And also, if they have any money, they better hire some good lawyers to make sure that whoever their candidate is this year can be on the ballot in every state, because there might be some I don't know what the cutoff is in most states, but they better get moving, or else they'll lose by default. The only save they're going to have, if they intend to keep Joe on, is take Kamala out and put Hillary in, because that's the only person who's going to save him right now. Well, maybe she'll do it. Maybe she will. I know for a fact, I think one time she actually told me directly that I want to be president, or words to that effect. I think one of the times that I interviewed her, I think she said something like that. And I can't imagine in 2024 that she really has changed her mind. We all want to be president. Bob Joseph live on a Friday morning at WNBF. It's Friday, and we have two special guests who have just arrived in the studio. This is, it's great to have two special people with us here in the studio on a Friday morning. Introduce yourselves. This is, wasn't sure if we would be able to get it on this hour or not. We can. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Alyssa Crosby.
And I'm Michaela Farnoli.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to announce a big special event that we have been working on very hard here for downtown Binghamton.
All right. And this is coming up in August, so it's not that far away.
August 10th. We're about 6 weeks out, and we are going live with tickets today. So you can visit livefrombinghamtonblockparty.com and get your tickets. It's $40 for general admission. We're going to have 6 acts from season 25 of NBC's The Voice, including myself, the winner Asher Havan, my friend Danny Stacy, Ryan Argast and his band Marina City, Jackie Romeo, and Bree Fletcher.
So give me a sense of how this happened, because I have a feeling a whole lot of work happened in a short period of time.
Absolutely. So I came home from LA and the show aired, and I was having a conversation with Michaela one day, and she's one of the owners of Stadium 138 on Washington Street, her, Rich David, and Chris Kazmarczyk. And we were having a conversation, and I said, I really have been wanting for years to put on a big show here in Binghamton. I want to do something for my community. And I said, what a better time to do it than right now when I have this platform and I have this voice and I can do something fun and I can bring some really fun national acts here to our city and just have a great event.
Yeah, so Alyssa and I are not only friends, but we're also cousins. We've been like sisters our whole lives, and we decided this would be an awesome way to marry both of our ventures together. So, we sat down and we said, how can we put on this huge concert and really celebrate her success? And this is what we came up with. We decided we could put on this concert downtown. We could help promote the local economy here and bring something awesome for our community, celebrate Alyssa, celebrate her friends, and we are so excited that we were able to pull this off, and we're ready to go live with it.
And as I said, well, here we are. It's the end of June, so it's just barely a month and a half away.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. So we're cutting it close, but we do have limited tickets available. And like I said, 6 acts from NBC's season 25 of The Voice. Really big deal, including Asher Havan, who won the season. I was just in Alabama with him. I had the honor of being flown down to Alabama this past weekend to be part of his homecoming show, which was incredible, where we recreated our battle duet from the show. And we're going to do it again here in Binghamton.
Well, that sounds exciting. By the way, so this is the first time, Alyssa, that you've been in this studio, right?
It's the first time, yeah.
So, and we did a nice phone interview.
We did.
When things were just starting to heat up on The Voice. But
yes.
It just seems to me it must have been just so exciting, everything that's transpired. And I know you were excited when we did the phone interview, but just getting all the attention from people here in this area and then even beyond the Binghamton area must have been so rewarding.
Absolutely. It's just nice to be recognized for the thing that I love to do, and I put a lot of hard work into it, so it means a lot to me to see my community interacting with me in that way and to basically just be able to do the thing I love and open some doors for myself. And I've had a lot of great opportunities come up, and I'm working hard to make sure that they keep happening and the doors keep opening. And if they don't open, I'm kicking them open.
And Michaela, you've been keeping so busy yourself.
Absolutely. I've been so busy, but I'm really excited for this. I'm excited to support Alyssa. I'm excited to support the businesses downtown. I think this is just a really positive thing, and the city has been so supportive. It's been quite a planning process with the city. That's one thing that's taken some time. We've been planning this for months, and we finally got our approval and all of our permits yesterday. So that was a big win for us. But everyone has been incredibly supportive and excited. So we can't wait. Yes.
Well, that's one of the things that when I've talked with people, no matter what event, if you're going to involve something that involves a gathering basically of more than half a dozen people, you have to talk with everybody to make sure. I mean, some things you may not need to do unless it's expected to be of a certain size, but everybody needs to sign off on it. You don't want to get moving and then be what you think is 90 or 95% complete, and then somebody says, well, you need this kind of permit, or you need to check with such and such a department, and for some reason you overlook that.
Absolutely. We've learned so much about event planning in this little experience because we've never done anything of quite this size.
Absolutely.
And it's a really big deal. So we're shutting down Washington and Court Street for this event. And we actually, did the hard work, and we took a couple of days and went around and petitioned all of our storefronts. And we made sure everybody was excited about it and on board with it, because there's nothing more upsetting than walking into your business in the morning and the street being closed down. So we wanted to make sure everybody knew what was happening and get everybody on board, and everybody seems really excited about it. So we're excited to bring this to our community.
Now tell us again about the website if people want to learn more or find out exactly how to obtain tickets for the August 10th event.
So all of the information is on our website, livefrombinghamtonblockparty.com. It's a long one. Livefrombinghamtonblockparty.com. The links are on our pages. We have an event on Facebook that we just went live with, and tickets, the general admission, are $40. Visions is one of our sponsors, and they are providing a $5 off coupon code for their members. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. If you are a member of Visions Federal Credit Union, shout out to them. And we're also looking for more sponsors. If anybody wants to be a part of this great event, we want you to be a part of it with us.
So what else do you have to do? I mean, obviously, you're getting the word out today and letting people in Binghamton and beyond know that this is coming up August 10th. So are you all set, or is there still a lot of work done to do besides the publicizing of the event?
We've gotten a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff done. We've gotten a lot of our ducks in a row, which is the reason why Binghamton was nice enough to give us our permit. But we do have some, fine-tuning to do. We have a beautiful stage coming in from Albany that we're renting. We have a great sound system, great sound people that are working with us. And now it's just a matter of making sure we have all the safety in check, our barricades. Our city has been really great about helping us provide all of that, and we're just kind of tying up the loose ends and doing the last minute things, and that's where we're at.
Little hesitant to bring it up. Is this rain or shine? Because you never know weather-wise around here.
It's rain or shine, and we're manifesting a beautiful day.
All right.
Beautiful day. It's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous one in August. 75 and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. I'm seeing it now.
Sounds like today's forecast. You should have it today, but obviously today is sunny and 78. Can you imagine?
I know, right?
But you can't just say, yes, take a look at the website. Everything that we had scheduled for August 10th is going to happen today. Everybody,
Mark my words. Mark my words.
But, it sounds like it's going to be fun for you, for everyone involved, and certainly fun for people here in Binghamton. So I appreciate your coming in. We're going to have vendors, and we're going to have food trucks. We're going to have all the things. It's going to be a family-friendly event, so please bring your families. We are actually donating a portion of our proceeds to local underfunded animal rescues and rehabilitation centers as well. Alyssa Crosby and Michaela Fargnoli, thank you so much for being with us on WNBF. Stay tuned. More to come on this Friday morning. Joining us now on Binghamton Now is Patrick Gary, the Endicott Police Chief. We're talking about something special that's going on in Port Dickinson. And Pat Gary, thanks for being with us this morning to let our community know about this new project that I think will be of interest to many of our listeners.
Well, thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me. And just to be clear, I am not here in my official capacity as the Endicott Police Chief, just as a part of this group with this Port Dickinson project.
And tell us a bit about the group, a little bit of the history, how it got started, I believe, a couple of decades ago, and what the mission has been.
Yeah, so there's a group that in 2004, the Compassionate Friends Bereavement Group, they installed what is called the Angel of Hope in the Port Dickinson Park in Broome County. And if you haven't been down to this angel, it's beautiful. The angel itself is there. It was inspired by a book called The Christmas Box, which is a bestseller by the author is Richard Paul Evans. And long story short, within the story, it's a story of hope in the face of great loss, where a mother is mourning her child at the base of an angel monument. And the group itself put this angel in for parents who have lost children of any age to be able to go down and have a place where they can mourn, they can reflect, they can, commune with other people and just deal with the loss of their child in an area that park is beautiful, where the angel is beautiful. And at the base of the angel are these paver bricks that you see around that are inscribed. And so there are children's names on there and memorials and things like that. So this group actually on July 11th is the 20th anniversary, and the last time any bricks or pavers were put in were back in 2013. So a group of people from Port Dick and a friend of mine reached out to me to ask for help in the fundraising of it. This group wanted to expand the memorial, introduce more bricks into the area, kind of beautify the landscape, and reshape it, both to improve the area where the current angel is and make sure that the integrity of that angel and those pavers are there for many, many decades to come, but also to introduce these new areas of pavers and landscaping just to beautify the area.
Well, it sounds like a nice concept, a nice project that's, I'm sure, managed to help a lot of people over the last 2 decades and likely can continue to do the same in the future for people in our area.
Yeah, it really, I wish I had known about this earlier. I never knew the angel existed down there, and I would encourage anybody who is not aware of what I'm talking about to go down to the Port Dickinson Community Park, and you just kind of weave yourself over to the left-hand side toward the river, the Shenango River, and the angel is there. Beautiful little area and setting in a beautiful park, and I wish I knew about it. Personally, my family, I lost, in 1984, I lost my sister Mary Ann, who was 20 years old. In 2009, I lost my sister Joanne, 55 years old, who they both had cancer, and I had to watch my parents go through the loss of their children. And so when my friend Rob invited me into this group, that was kind of what was behind it for me, was this would have been great for them to have something like this. And it, I think it will. We had a heroin epidemic here, an opioid epidemic. We've had COVID, and the last bricks were laid in 2013. So I think there are a lot of people out there, a lot of parents and people who are parental figures to kids that can really benefit from having something like this, where it's a group of people who have all suffered the same way with these heart-wrenching losses, that they can kind of have a unique and collective experience with one another.
So I understand that the group has already received some money donated for the start of this project, the fundraising that is actually getting underway as we enter July?
Yeah, so the group approached County Executive Jason Garner, and he immediately went to bat for us, and he secured a small fund, significant to us, small for the county, community fund award that is going to help us kind of get things started. It won't be nearly enough to cover all the expenses that we need for the project, but that's where the bricks and the pavers will come in, which are actually part of the project as well. So this is kind of on July 11th, the 20th anniversary at 6 p.m., we're doing a kickoff event in the park to kind of initiate the new fundraising effort. And the plan is we really don't know what to expect in terms of how many people will be interested in this, but we sort of have a January 1st deadline for the first orders of pavers, or when we reach 500 pavers or bricks, whichever comes first. That's when we'll start planning to break ground on this next wave. But the July 11th event, which we would invite anybody who's lost a child or anybody who wants to see what the project is to come down at 6 p.m. with us. That event will kind of show what the plan is. We'll have order forms there, so anybody who does want to order a paver can get them there. We actually set up just recently a Facebook page. It's kind of raw at this point, but it's Angel of Hope of Broome County. So if anybody wants to go out and find that, we will have information through there. We'll have an order form available there. They can email. The email address is pdangelofhope, PD as in Port Dickinson, pdangelofhope@gmail.com. They can email that for questions. And before I forget, I really want to thank. So we, obviously we're just a small kind of grassroots group here. So we also approached the Community Foundation for South Central New York, who was gracious enough to kind of take us under their wing for the fundraising effort so we can deal with all the nonprofit and things like that. So if people want to make donations, they can mail a check to the Community Foundation for South Central New York if they just put Angel of Hope in the memo line, and the address is 520 Columbia Drive in Johnson City with a 13790 zip code.
And again, the email address that people have questions, that they could direct questions to the email address.
Yep, it's PD Angel of Hope, all one word, @gmail.com.
And again, the event, the kickoff event, will be on Thursday, July 11th at 6 p.m. at Port Dickinson Community Park.
Yep, exactly.
Pat Gary, thank you for the information, and I'm sure many of our listeners will want to perhaps support this or at least get more information, because as you found yourself in a situation not knowing about the Angel, I've been to the park a couple of times and not really looking all around the park, a couple of times just working on a couple of stories that weren't directly related with the park, and I didn't know the Angel existed.
Yeah, it really, I'm sure it was probably out there back in 2004, and then a new set of bricks went down in 2008, and then another one in 2013, but I don't know that it's widely known. And what's really interesting about this Angel, I've learned a lot since being involved, is this is the 50th Angel out of over 150 Angels worldwide. The first one was in Salt Lake City. The author replicated the Angel. Apparently there was one, it's a fictional story, but there was apparently an Angel at some point, and I'm not sure I understand this part of the story exactly, but it may have been damaged or whatever. But the author, Richard Paul Evans, erected another one in Salt Lake City because people were looking for this Angel based on the book that he wrote. And so then it started being duplicated all over the country, and now it actually goes worldwide. It's a pretty interesting story.
And by the way, if people want to see just a brief write-up and also an illustration of the Port Dickinson Angel of Hope, you can go to the village's website. The Port Dickinson website has a section that explains basically what you've talked about and adds a little more detail, a little more background, and there's a nice picture of the Angel of Hope in the Port Dickinson Community Park. Pat Gary, thanks for joining us. I hope you have a good weekend.
You too, Bob. Thank you very much for giving me the time to promote this. Have a great one.
Keep in touch.
Take care.
It's 11:20 at News Radio WNBF. We're here serving the community. Binghamton Now with you Monday through Friday. And we talk with all people about almost every topic. You learn a lot on this program. I learn a lot on this program. Even though sometimes I come away with the opinion, by now I must know everything about the Triple Cities. Sometimes, especially this week, I've learned quite a few things on the program, and I think, no, I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know. I know a lot, but I don't know everything yet. 607-772-1290. It's Binghamton Now. More calls are coming up here on WNBF. Let's go back to the phones to Binghamton's West Side. Good morning, Gary. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Bob. I haven't been able to listen to people's responses to the what happened last night, and I would imagine most people they commented about how Biden, he lost his train of thought, and he might have been gazing and stuff like this. I just want to remind all of your listeners who most of them are retired. I know myself, I have lost my train of thought numerous times. I've lost my train of thought on your show. And I was like embarrassed and I didn't know what to say. And you didn't come back and say to me, hey, Gary, what's the matter? You don't know what you're talking about? Nothing like that. And neither Trump didn't say that basically yesterday. But, just have a little compassion for the guy because we all do it at times. And unfortunately for this guy, it was on national TV and he's the president. I think we need to address that undoubtedly. But also remember this too, Bob. I think people need to realize, and while you do want someone who is strong and can carry on a conversation, remember most people are voting for either ideas. So when you vote Republican, Donald Trump isn't making all the decisions. There's a whole team behind him that makes that decisions. When you're voting for Joe Biden, there's a whole team behind him. And so just remember, you're voting either for Republican ideas or Democrat ideas. That's basically what it comes down to, and the man should at least be able to hold a conversation. It was, I don't know, what have most people been saying? It was upsetting.
Some of that. I thought we would hear from a lot of people. My guess is a lot of people around here were not totally surprised. I mean, look at what little has been portrayed in the media over the last several weeks. The guy rarely does news conferences. I mean, at a minimum, this actually reinforces the point I've made over the years, and I think I made this point even before Joe Biden became president. I think when Donald Trump was president. I think even when Barack Obama was president. See, even I on live radio, an experienced broadcaster, can slip.
Of course.
And we all do it. Yeah. That's the human condition until we're all replaced by AI. So, but what I was about to say, I believe that it's in the interest of this nation as well as whoever is president at any given time to, on a very regular basis, answer questions from reporters in a primetime news conference so you don't get out of practice. So it should be done. I've said before, they ought to do it in prime time on a Sunday night. Say, preempt 60 Minutes for one Sunday, the first Sunday of the month or whatever, and let anybody who is a real journalist, not just anybody who got a card, but somebody who works for not just a little news service, but anybody who works for, whether it's Fox News, someplace that's legit, that's been around for a while, not necessarily the people who love you, but legitimate news organizations. Heck, even Newsmax. Now, Newsmax, a lot of people don't like, and they certainly have their way of framing things. But if they have somebody who is accredited, then they should be allowed to ask questions sometimes, and they have in the past at White House news conferences. The President of the United States, whoever he or she is, should be put to the test at least once a month, preferably, I say once a week, every Sunday night. Do it for an hour. And not just take questions from reporters. Also, at least once a month, take questions from people who just call in, not people who are set up, shills. Hi, Mr. President, I love everything you're doing, and you're really helping the people of New York State. No, take questions even from people who don't support you, Because if you're the most powerful person in the world, you should be able to handle all questions from civilians, from just plain residents, not people who are making mean statements and say, I hate everything you do. If somebody has a legitimate question, they should field the question. That would keep them and their mind in better shape.
Right. Hey, do you think Dr. Jill Biden should say to Joe, hey, Joe, I think it's time. So I think it's somebody close in his family.
Yes, it's overdue.
That's where it has to come from.
It's overdue. She calls herself Dr. Jill Biden. It's time now for Dr. Jill Biden to give her spouse the most important advice that she could ever give him. And it's overdue.
It's difficult.
I know it's difficult. I'm not trying to minimize it. It will be probably the most difficult conversation they've ever had. But it's a conversation that they should be having right now, and not in a mean way.
Honesty is hard. Honesty is hard.
It's going to be difficult. There could be tears. There could be, I don't know, maybe they better have some cops around. I don't think Joe Biden has a propensity for violence, but who knows? If a loved one tells you, man, you're just not up to the task, yes, it's an emotional time. They ought to have professionals nearby to help support him and her. But I think the conversation should have been, based on what we saw, conversation should have happened before last night.
Yeah. Boy, that's just one of the things, like neither one of them really gave any answers. It's always we're deflecting what,
right.
You ask a question, and I'm not going to answer the question.
That's the way most debates go.
The longest, right. And one thing I'd like to say about Donald Trump, too, when he comes and he says something like, I could end the war in Ukraine if I get elected, before I even get in there on January 20th. When he said that, Bob, I just thought immediately to when he said, I'm going to make Mexico pay for the wall. It's the same type of thing. You're not going to stop the war in Ukraine. If you could stop the war in Ukraine, then do it now. Do it right now.
Yeah.
Why do you got to
do
wait?
us a favor. I'll tell you what. Well, this is not a promise, and I better choose my words carefully. If Donald Trump can stop the war in Ukraine by July 31st, I will give very, very serious consideration about endorsing him. No, I won't endorse him. I can't because I'm a reporter. But you see what I mean? I mean, if seriously,
I do see what you mean.
If he has the power, if he claims that if he's elected November 5th, that he'll stop the war before he's sworn in, well, yeah, do it now. Prove it to us now, because then he will win legitimately. If he can find a way to stop the violence between Russia and Ukraine, and do it within the next 30 to 60 days, I guarantee he'll defeat Joe Biden, or more accurately, whoever the Democratic candidate is in November, by a margin of several million votes, legitimately, if it can be done.
If he did that, he could have Stormy Daniels as vice president, and he'd still win.
Sure.
All right, and he probably liked that.
Probably a lot of Americans might like it.
How about when he said, I never had sex with that porn star? That reminded me of Bill Clinton.
I know.
I never had sex with him.
The only thing missing there was the irritating finger wag. So I actually give Trump bonus points for not wagging his finger at us and saying, and I have to get back to work for the American people. I mean, that alone, poor Bill Clinton, that he couldn't control. What I understand, apparently, some men just can't control themselves. So whether it's William Jefferson Clinton or Donald John Trump or Jimmy Carter, lusting in his heart, as he said in a magazine interview, maybe some men just have problems in this area, and maybe it doesn't adversely affect their ability to govern. But at least to his everlasting credit, Donald Trump didn't wag his finger at me last night.
That's how far we've come, Bob.
I know.
Where, you know, like, yeah, I mean, you know, you could have sex with whoever now, but back in the day when Jimmy Carter, he said, I have thoughts of it. And that was like, oh, my gosh, he's actually thinking about it. And that was news. But I know you got all the calls, Bob. Take care, buddy.
Thanks.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. 11:35 at News Radio, WNBF. Let's face it, nobody wants to have a finger wagged at you, especially from a president. Don't need it. 11:35. Let's take another call off our hotlines. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Vinny from Binghamton. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the debate last night. My pick, Joe Biden. He got off to a slow start. Got out of the gate slow, and but you know, I think. Actually, Morning Joe talked about this, and I was talking to my friends last night about it. Okay, you did that. If I had anything to change with Joe Biden, I'd like for him to be Joe Biden. They can't lock this guy in. You know, he knows he can do the politics, but and stuff like this, Joe Biden is so much better when he's just Joe Biden and talking. You know, last night he was basically doing, I don't know if you know the sports commentator, Stephen A. Smith, sports journalist. He does that a lot. Like if he's talking about the Mets, he'll go, I'll tell you, this is why the Mets are losing. 1, 2. Joe Biden, you don't need to do that, man. Just take 2 things on it and go and talk deep on it. That I'd like to see him do in the next debate. Just talk. Talk to the people. Look in the camera. Talk to them. Just like he did it last time. Talk to these people. Because this is serious. And that's one of the things I would do. You know, as far as Trump, the same old thing. I love the part where they asked him about being Palestine, being a state. I'll think about it. Or no, he said, we'll see. But I want to tell you something, and he didn't even address that. And then I think my favorite was telling NATO that they need to pay their own way. We're not doing it anymore. If we're paying, you got to be paying, and this and that and this and that. Yet he comes over here as president. What does he do? He cuts the taxes for corporations. He cuts the corporate taxes. Everybody else has to pay that big gap somehow. You know, Joe Biden gets the wages up. What do corporations do? We're going to raise prices on stuff. We're going to get that money. I mean, it's just comical. It's over a lot of the Trump people's heads. But Joe Biden, that's what I like to see him do. And I think the people that stole the show, myself, was Newsom and our vice president, Kamala Harris. They were good last night. I don't know if you saw that, Bob. But Newsom,
I saw most of what Newsom said. I didn't see most of what the vice president said. I don't know.
Well, Bob, can I tell you what Kamala Harris says?
Yeah.
She goes, why do you want me to judge 90 minutes on what this man has done the last 3.5 years?
But basically the reason for that is it comes down to what have you done for me lately? And the thing is, he has been so sheltered and so sequestered over the last at least several months, actually during most of his presidency. This guy has not held enough news conferences. There hasn't been nearly enough transparency. I'm telling you, if he had been holding regular news conferences and doing regular live interviews, not fluff interviews, regular live interviews, I am almost certain he would have done a lot better last night because he would have been in shape to field these questions.
Well, you know, the State of the Union, he did okay. He did really great at that State of the Union.
Right, and the State of the Union, Vinny, I could do a good State of the Union address. That doesn't qualify me to be president. You got to be able to think on your feet. The stuff that he did in the State of the Union, as far as I know, 99% of his presentation was all scripted and on a teleprompter.
So you want to just get rid of the last 3.5 years?
No, I didn't say get rid of the last 3.5 years.
But that's what you have. This is what he tagged along. This is what's on the trailer. This is what's attached to him.
I
what
know.
He has done.
But the bottom line, the bottom line is people people are concerned by the image, not just the visual image, but the audio last night. Whether you were listening on the radio or whether you were watching it on TV, it wasn't reassuring.
I know, and I just said that. And I want to say one other thing. You know, they're saying, is the country going in the right direction? Well, most American people say no. Do you know they took that poll back when Trump was doing it, and they said the same thing? So what does that mean? What have you done for me?
By the way, you know what I think about polls. I don't think much about polls. That's why rarely, if ever, do I talk about polls on this program. The only poll that matters is this fall, November 5th, as well as people who participate in early voting. I don't care about polls that are taken for the New York Times or AP or anybody else. I don't put a lot of credence in them. And a lot of people, talk show hosts and news organizations, I think, waste a lot of precious time reporting on polls, whether it's about the horse race as far as who's ahead now by 4 points and you know, who is appealing to women 18 to 49 or to certain other demographics. That is a big waste of time because so much can and will happen over the next 4 months before any votes are officially cast. I am tired of hearing about polls. I want to hear mainly about issues. I don't want to hear any more about anybody's dalliances with entertainment figures or whatever. Just focus on the issues. And I think, based on what happened last night, Vinny, Democrats had better make some important decisions over the next 24 to 48 hours.
We've already made them, Bob.
Okay, well, then, you know, we'll see. I'm almost at the point of thinking that some people in Biden's inner circle set up this debate on June 27th, to actually illustrate to other people in the Democratic Party and to the American people why their boss cannot serve 4 more years. And that they wanted to do it early because if this performance happened in a first debate that happened at the usual time during the election cycle, then Democrats would go completely down in flames.
Well, like I said, Gavin Newsom, I completely agree with that because, you know, he didn't say this, but basically a lot of you milquetoast liberals, this is what happens. You guys sit there, you give up. Oh, woe is me, woe is me. You try to leave ship, and this is what happens. And this is why Democratic people get so sick and tired of some of these leaderships about not saying anything. You don't talk about what's been good. You don't talk about, hey, let's keep moving. You want to sit there and speculate and try to do this, and you don't back this guy what he's done. You did the same thing with Obama, the same thing. And now this guy, guess what? He's there. And just like the Trump supporters, oh, people don't want the Trump. They voted him in. But I'll tell you one thing, though. I can see why Donald Trump did not debate. Because like Joe Biden said last night, what do you say, 48 out of the people, 48 people that were in your administration, 42 don't even back you. And he would have got sliced because Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, and his vice president would have sliced him to death because they were there. And that's why he didn't debate him.
Well, so at least he's smart enough to know what not to do. Give him credit for that. That was a really smart choice. Still not sure that it was a really smart choice for Joe Biden and his people to agree to a June 27th debate. Certainly doesn't look that way. It's 11:44. More calls are coming up on a Friday morning. It's live, it's local. I'm Bob Joseph on WNBF.
This is a special report from ABC News. Supreme Court rulings. I'm Sherry Preston. The High Court making it harder to charge Capitol riot defendants with obstruction of an official proceeding, something that former President Donald Trump has also been charged with. Here's ABC's Devin Dwyer.
This decision by the Supreme Court is very measured. It's narrow. It's basically laying out that any time those charges are going to be brought under that part of the law, there has to be some connection to documents and records being destroyed.
ABC Chief Law and Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has more on on how many rioters the Justice Department thinks could actually see convictions overturned.
They conclude there are only about 27 people that had only this case as the primary charge against them, meaning about 27 people would actually see some likelihood of their sentence being significantly reduced.
As for Donald Trump, a decision on his case claiming absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for acts he did as president is expected on Monday. This is ABC News.
At 11:47, you're listening to WNBF Live. Martin in Binghamton, you're on the air.
Boy, they were late with that announcement. That came on at 11 o'clock. I turned the TV on, I came across, and they were already talking about that, how they were going to exonerate those and implications, and that's not good. That's not good for January 6th. But, I know I don't hear Matt Ryan talk, but I know Vinny and Matt Ryan are the lead Democrats and everything else, but you got to believe your eyes. And also, I go by what David Fluff said, who was the campaign manager for Obama. He says, there was a 3-year gap in age, but last night it looked like there was a 30-year gap. And, you got to do something here. And it's probably only going to come from the family. It'll have to be inside the family. Somebody will have to tell him, that.
Well, maybe here's the oddest thing. It just occurs to me. Hunter Biden. If Dr. Jill Biden doesn't have the courage or whatever to break the news to Joe, then Hunter Biden may have to do it.
Yeah,
I don't know the whole story about their relationship. And look, billions and billions of words have been said and reported about Hunter Biden, so we don't have to relitigate Hunter Biden's legal problems and his troubled life. But there might be, if Joe Biden hears from Hunter directly and hopefully in a kind way, a son telling his father, Dad, it's time to go.
Yeah, and certainly, and Trump pivoted when they talked about his charges. He just pivoted on, his son. Look at his son. His son's a felon, and he has felonies. And he'll probably get more. When he said that innuendo, also that was disgusting.
Well, I found I was disappointed, but not surprised. But again, ultimately, given what transpired, I think Dr. Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, and maybe some trusted family friends ought to be having a conversation with the president at lunchtime today, and just tell it like it is.
Yeah, there was a lot of. I was bopping around MSNBC, CNN, going back and forth, and most of the people, and Claire, can't think of her last name, Claire, but she was really from Missouri. She was right on.
Yeah, Claire McCaskill. She was blunt, and I thought under the circumstances courageous, but I think she told it like it is, whether people wanted to hear it or not. I know people don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear this, but I think in the long run, for everybody concerned, including Joe Biden, I think what happened last night is ultimately in the best interest of everybody, because at least everybody saw what they saw and heard what they heard, and it was not fake news. It was live. It was one of those rare communal experiences where tens of millions of Americans, as well as people around the world, gathered together and witnessed something in real time. Martin, I appreciate your call.
Yep, thank you. Yep.
It's 11:51 at WNBF. Rob from Fort Crane, you're on the air.
Hi, Bob. I'm like you. I blame Jill Biden for allowing this. It's elder abuse. We've said it for years, but
my question is, why would she? Even afterwards, Rob. After it, they had the little thing where the two of them showed up at the viewing party in Atlanta, and even the intro that she said about what happened during the debate, bore no semblance to reality of what even the people in that room saw. I mean, so clearly, she's actually facilitating this.
Well, she is. And Bob, it just shows what we've all known. The media has been lying about Biden's condition for years. No offense, including yourself, because he's been like this since he was Obama's VP. He was a bumbling fool back then. But, you know, I did hear early this morning when I was coming home from golf, I heard Matt Ryan say all the pundits said that Trump lied all night. And I wondered where those lies were. Was it the 51 intelligence spies that lied about Hunter's laptop? Was that the lie? Or was it the one about, the tens of millions of invaders raping and killing Americans? Was that a lie? I don't think any of that was a lie. And Joy Reid, I'm surprised you didn't play Joy Reid. Holy cow, America's favorite racist. She finally says, look what the heck we got in office.
Yeah, I didn't happen to hear that. I was dialing around trying to get a sample from Fox, MSNBC, and CNN, plus the major networks, CBS, ABC, NBC. So I was able to glean some stuff, but I wasn't able to catch everybody. Yeah, I will. I bet you know what?
She did say about something, Bob, if I could just finish real quick. She did say she was on the phone all night with Obama and several other Democratic operatives, as she described them, and they all were saying the same thing. Oh, my God. She says it's bordering on panic, and she even talked about replacing Joe Biden.
Well, and, you know, if anybody's going to be honest about the status of the Democratic Party on this Friday morning, it's not bordering on panic. This is panic at the disco. This is the highest level of panic you can have and still be alive.
The rest of us, we've been warning everybody. This is what we've been seeing for years. And the media just kept saying, don't believe your eyes, don't believe your eyes. He's great. Best version of Biden ever, Scarborough said.
Well, you know, hey, take it for what it's worth. Remember, Scarborough, well, I'm not going to go there because I want to be nice. Anyway, hope you have a good weekend.
You too, buddy.
Thanks. I'm trying to be nice to everybody. That's my motto. I'm being nice to everybody from now on. So I just hope that some people are nice to President Biden today and help him understand what he needs to understand. It's 11:54 at WNBF. Here's a note. Carol in Vestal writes, I'm disappointed, too, in how President Biden performed. However, part of his staring and confused looks, I feel, were his reactions to the ridiculous claims that Trump was making about being the best at everything. So many lies Trump told. But what really irritated me was that CNN moderators didn't maintain control of the debate and keep Trump on track with the question being asked. Instead, they let him ramble on about the last question and not address the current one. It will be interesting to see how things unfold from here. Thanks, Carol from Vestal. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how things unfold, and things could move fast. Or maybe they won't. What I know, if you're a longtime listener to the program, you understand that my track record about predictions and gut feelings is about 0 for 1290 right now. I don't think maybe I made one correct prediction since the program came on the air. But still, seems to me that if the Democrats don't do something, I mean, the Chicago convention was shaping up to be a heck of a convention anyway. I mean, think about it. Remember the Democratic convention in 1968 when there were protests in the street and all that sort of thing? Well, that's probably still going to happen. Maybe they'll cancel the convention. Who knows? Let's try to squeeze in one more call before we wrap up for the week. Hi, WNBF. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Bob. It's Beverly.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Good. So what's on your mind?
Oh, I was watching the debate last night, and I feel sorry for Biden. I mean, I could hardly understand him.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him too. I feel sorry for both Biden and Trump.
You know, I mean, the guy, you know, I mean, you know, in my opinion, and in my heart and in my mind, I think he should, you know, give it up, you know, because he didn't look well last night, that's for sure. And like I said, I could hardly understand him.
Well, here's something Carol just wrote back from Vestal. She said, I also wonder if maybe his stuttering condition might be surfacing again as he ages, because remember, when he was younger, he had a stuttering issue, so maybe the problems he previously had, maybe they're starting to return a bit. Hey, I've got to run along. I hope you have a good weekend.
Hey, up at Tioga Downs, they're having a lizard and snakes on all those shows. But it's just basically for the kids.
All right. Well, that sounds like fun. Hope you have a good weekend. And thank you to everyone who called today and all who have listened. I'm Bob Joseph. I'll be back Monday morning with Binghamton Now here on WNBF.
Think about it.